There was a lot to discuss about the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Max Verstappen securing his fourth driver's title, Cadillac's confirmed entry into F1 in 2026, and Mercedes' unexpected performance. However, one story that got overshadowed by all this was Ferrari's issues, which led to Charles Leclerc's emotional radio outburst at the end of the race. With Carlos Sainz set to leave the team at the end of the season, his current actions reveal a lot about how Ferrari might handle things when Lewis Hamilton joins the mix. The situation at Ferrari could become even more complicated, and in this video I'll explain why, so stay tuned. As for Ferrari's performance at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, it went as well as they could have hoped. With the Constructors' Championship still in play, their main goal was to outscore McLaren, which they managed to do comfortably. Carlos Sainz finished in third, while Charles Leclerc came in fourth, netting 27 points for the Scuderia, 12 more than McLaren's 15. With just 2 races left this season, Ferrari needs to gain 24 more points than McLaren to claim the Constructors' title, their first since 2008. While they can't clinch the title in Qatar, as long as they don't lose 20 or more points to McLaren there, they'll be able to carry the battle into the final race of the season. Ferrari has undeniably been the team in the best form recently, amassing an impressive 143 points over the last 4 race weekends, 47 more than Mercedes and 51 more than McLaren. Despite their strong performance and its impact on the Constructors' Championship standings, the Ferrari drivers aren't entirely pleased. After the race, Charles Leclerc shared his concerns. It's going to be a fight until the very end. I think McLaren's going to be very strong in Qatar, so we've got to have a good weekend. I'll be surprised if we recover points from them. We've got to, but I expect it to be tricky. McLaren has showcased impressive strength on high-temperature circuits this season, largely due to their car's ability to minimize tire wear. This advantage has helped them stay competitive under demanding track conditions. However, their performance in Las Vegas highlighted one of their significant weaknesses: straight-line speed. The track's long straights expose the limitations of their setup, a problem that has persisted since the flexible DRS flap was banned following the Baku Grand Prix. To address this, McLaren brought their lowest downforce rear wing of the season to Vegas in an attempt to boost their top speed. Unfortunately, this adjustment fell short, leaving them unable to match the pace of rivals like Mercedes and Ferrari. Looking ahead, Qatar presents a different challenge. The circuit is expected to favor McLaren's car characteristics, particularly compared to Ferrari, which may struggle more on this type of track. Nevertheless, McLaren cannot afford to be complacent, as competition at the top remains exceptionally tight. Red Bull, led by Max Verstappen, also looms as a potential contender at the Qatar Grand Prix, adding another layer of complexity to the fight for points. Despite recent setbacks, including losing significant ground to Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship over the last 4 races, McLaren team principal Andrea Stella remains cautiously optimistic. He acknowledged the critical role Mercedes played in keeping Ferrari in check in Las Vegas. "We have to thank Mercedes for performing so strongly and securing P1 and P2. Otherwise, Ferrari would have posed an even greater threat in the Constructors' Championship," Stella stated. Looking forward to the remaining races, Stella expressed both hope and caution. "It's true that Qatar and Abu Dhabi should be more suitable for the way we've designed our car," he said. "But we must stay vigilant. The level of performance among the top teams in Formula One right now is unprecedented, and any small misstep could have significant consequences in the championship fight." With the championship battle intensifying, McLaren's strategy and adaptability in the final races will be crucial in determining their standing against Ferrari and the other top competitors. Although Ferrari's 3rd and 4th place finishes in the race weren't sufficient to secure the Constructors' Championship, it wasn't the standings that caused Charles Leclerc to engage in a heated exchange with his race engineer over the team radio. This rare outburst contrasted with the otherwise harmonious partnership between Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, which has been a cornerstone of Ferrari's recent stability. In a sport where intra-team rivalries often dominate headlines, Ferrari has benefited from having 2 highly skilled drivers who generally collaborate effectively, an unusual dynamic in Formula One. Officially, Ferrari maintains that they do not designate a number 1 driver. However, their actions and long-term strategies suggest a clear preference for Leclerc. He is regarded as the future of the team, often receiving subtle favoritism in key moments. While Carlos Sainz has demonstrated exceptional skill and consistency, Leclerc typically edges him out in performance, even if his aggressive driving style sometimes results in costly errors. Despite these mistakes, Ferrari appears committed to Leclerc as their leading driver, seeing him as central to their long-term ambitions in F1. Over their seasons as teammates, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz have had their share of tense exchanges on the team radio, particularly when team orders didn't sit well with one or both of them. Yet, these moments have been the exception rather than the rule. For the most part, the two have managed to prioritize Ferrari's success over personal ambitions, maintaining a cooperative dynamic that is rare in Formula One. Given how evenly matched they are as drivers, their ability to coexist and work together is remarkable, showcasing a mutual respect that has benefited the team. However, the balance between them appears to be shifting. With Sainz reportedly set to move to Williams next season, he's acutely aware that his days of fighting for podiums are likely coming to an end. This realization seemed to unlock a more ruthless side of Sainz in Las Vegas, a side that had largely been restrained during his tenure at Ferrari in favor of team unity. That newfound ruthlessness was on full display during the race, and it was this shift in approach that pushed Leclerc to his breaking point, culminating in an explosive outburst over the radio. Adding to the tension is the arrival of Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari, a move that could dramatically alter the team dynamic. Hamilton's presence brings a wealth of experience and an undeniable hunger for success, but it also introduces a potentially volatile element to the driver lineup. If the balance that Ferrari has carefully maintained between its drivers collapses, it could spell disaster for the team's future cohesion and performance. Before diving into the details, if you're enjoying this content and want to stay updated on the latest F1 news, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to F1 Reverse. Thanks for your support. Now, let's unpack what led to Charles Leclerc's fiery team radio outburst. Leclerc, who finished just over 2 seconds behind his Ferrari teammate Carlos Sainz in third place after an intense back-and-forth battle during the race, let loose in frustration after crossing the finish line. The tension boiled over as Leclerc unleashed a scathing rant directed at his race engineer, Brian Bott, who seemed caught off guard and unable to de-escalate the situation. It started innocuously enough when Bott instructed Leclerc to pick up rubber, a common practice post-race to add weight to the car. Leclerc responded with dripping sarcasm. "Yeah, whatever you want, as always." But then his frustrations spilled out. "Yeah, you did your job." "Okay, thank you," he continued, before emphasizing his own frustrations. Yeah, I did my job. But being nice, as me over all the fing time. It's not even being nice, it's just being respectful." As Bott tried to calm him down, Leclerc doubled down. "Shut up. But at one point, it's always the same. Oh my fing God." Bott replied, attempting to reassure him. "Okay, but anyway, you did the right thing for the team." But Leclerc was having none of it, finishing with a blunt and expletive-laden retort, Yeah, fing pick up what the you want." Leclerc's emotional outburst laid bare the growing tensions within the Ferrari camp, where he feels his willingness to prioritize team harmony has often come at his own expense. It's a stark reminder of the psychological toll and high stakes of competing in Formula One, especially in a team dynamic where both drivers are vying for supremacy. The explosive rant from Charles Leclerc during the Las Vegas Grand Prix was the culmination of a series of frustrating events that unfolded during the race, particularly regarding his interactions with his teammate, Carlos Sainz, and the team's handling of the situation. Early in the race, Leclerc was in the thick of the battle for the lead, but struggled with tire management. He pushed too hard and began to overuse his tires, leading him to let Sainz pass in an effort to preserve his own performance. However, just before the second pit stop, Leclerc managed to regain the position when Sainz's pace dramatically dropped, and he allowed Leclerc through. After Sainz pitted, Leclerc stayed out for a few extra laps to try and build a gap, but the tension was already building. When Leclerc finally pitted on lap 31, Ferrari informed him that it would be close with Sainz. as the Spaniard had more tire temperature and would likely be faster for a short period. Ferrari then told Leclerc, across two separate messages, that Sainz had been instructed not to overtake him and that Leclerc should focus on managing his tires. The intention was clear. Leclerc was supposed to maintain his position and focus on tire preservation, while Sainz would not be allowed to challenge him. However, the situation quickly took a turn. At the very next corner, Sainz passed Leclerc as though his teammate was a backmarker. There was a clear miscommunication or a failure in execution from Ferrari. Sainz had not actually been told not to pass Leclerc. Rather, he was only instructed not to apply pressure. Sainz, to his credit, didn't make a forceful attempt to overtake, but instead passed with relative ease, making the whole situation even more frustrating for Leclerc. The bigger issue, however, was Ferrari's handling of the messaging. Leclerc was told that Sainz had been given instructions not to pass him, which in fact was not true. Ferrari's claim that Sainz had been instructed not to overtake was a lie, and Leclerc was understandably upset by this. His frustration was compounded by the feeling that the team wasn't being transparent with him, a sentiment that he expressed directly in his radio rant. He essentially called out Ferrari for not being honest with him, suggesting that they should just tell him the truth going forward, rather than feeding him false information. This series of events triggered Leclerc's explosive outburst, as he felt not only undermined by his teammate, but also misled by the team he was trying to support. The lack of clear communication from Ferrari, combined with the pressure of the situation, pushed Leclerc to his breaking point, resulting in one of the most fiery team radio exchanges of the season. After the race, Charles Leclerc skillfully sidestepped direct questions about the controversial incident with Carlos Sainz, sticking to well-rehearsed media responses. He emphasized repeatedly that the situation would be addressed internally, refusing to be drawn into further detail. However, one remark hinted at lingering frustration and suggested that Sainz may have broken a pre-race agreement. Leclerc stated, "I'm not happy about Carlos, but I won't go into details why, because we talked about these things before the race, and I'm always the one who respects those agreements. From now on, I'll be thinking about myself only." This rare emotional comment revealed a fracture in their working relationship. As Leclerc implied, he felt betrayed by Sainz's actions on track. From Sainz's perspective, his approach makes perfect sense. With his departure from Ferrari confirmed and his 2025 drive already secured, Sainz no longer has an incentive to play the team game. Instead, he is focused on maximizing his performance in his remaining races with Ferrari, leaving a strong impression as he prepares for the next chapter of his career. His performance in Las Vegas demonstrated this mindset perfectly: bold, decisive, and unapologetic. Sainz seized his opportunities on track, prioritizing his own success over team dynamics, and showcased his exceptional skill as a driver. While Leclerc's frustrations are understandable, given his history of loyalty to team agreements, Sainz's decision to act independently also makes sense in the context of his career trajectory. In the end, it was a statement race for Sainz, and for that, he deserves credit. Bravo, Carlos. The incident between Leclerc and Sainz in Las Vegas exposed more than just personal tensions. It highlighted structural weaknesses at Ferrari that could become even more pronounced when Lewis Hamilton joins the team in 2025. Ferrari's pit wall, long criticized for its indecisiveness and lack of clarity in key moments, struggles to handle high-pressure situations. Whether it's strategy calls or managing their drivers, Ferrari lacks the operational sharpness and authority demonstrated by teams like Red Bull. This is a vulnerability that will be further tested when Hamilton, a driver with a history of demanding individual focus, enters the fold. Leclerc and Sainz have managed to keep things relatively harmonious during their time as teammates, largely prioritizing Ferrari's overall success over their own ambitions. However, Hamilton operates differently. Throughout his illustrious career, he has consistently shown that his primary goal is personal success, often at the expense of team harmony. Hamilton's track record as a teammate underscores his highly competitive nature. During his rookie season alongside Fernando Alonso at McLaren, their relationship quickly soured, with Alonso feeling threatened by Hamilton's rise. Later, Hamilton leaked telemetry data to the public to express frustration when he believed McLaren was favoring Jenson Button over him. His rivalry with Nico Rosberg at Mercedes reached a boiling point in 2016, culminating in a dramatic crash at the Spanish Grand Prix that eliminated both cars and left team boss Toto Wolff visibly exasperated by his inability to maintain control. If Ferrari's leadership struggles to assert authority with their current driver lineup, they may find it even more difficult to manage the intense competition and high-stakes dynamics that Hamilton's arrival is likely to bring. While Hamilton's experience and skill could elevate Ferrari's performance on the track, his uncompromising approach will demand a much stronger and more cohesive strategy from the pit wall, something Ferrari has yet to consistently demonstrate. Without significant changes to their decision-making processes and internal structure, Ferrari risks being overwhelmed by the same kind of explosive intra-team rivalries that have marked some of Hamilton's past partnerships. If Ferrari and Charles Leclerc are under the illusion that Lewis Hamilton will arrive at Maranello in 2025 and willingly play second fiddle for the good of the team, they are in for a rude awakening. Hamilton is not coming to Ferrari to build the team's success at the expense of his own ambitions. If anything, he'll be eyeing that record-breaking 8th World Championship title, which would cement his legacy as one of the greatest drivers in F1 history. If Ferrari's management believes that pre-race agreements and tepid team radio messages will keep Hamilton in check, they are gravely mistaken. Hamilton has made it clear throughout his career that he is not here to simply work with a teammate if it comes at the cost of his own glory. He will fight for that title with everything he has. Leclerc, in particular, should take note of what transpired in Las Vegas. Carlos Sainz showed a level of ruthlessness that is often necessary in the upper echelons of F1. He ignored the vague team orders Ferrari issued and made the most of his situation, overtaking Leclerc without hesitation. In contrast, Leclerc's compliance with team protocols, while admirable in its intent, ultimately left him exposed. Ferrari's lack of clarity and decisiveness with their orders meant that Sainz, even if not actively instructed to overtake, was able to capitalize on the situation, leaving Leclerc frustrated and questioning the team's integrity. This kind of internal tension, combined with Ferrari's weak pit wall, could become even more problematic when Hamilton arrives. The Scuderia will have a legitimate shot at the Drivers' Championship next season, provided their winter development goes well. But Hamilton, with his vast experience and hunger for an 8th title, will not simply fall into line behind Leclerc, especially if he feels that his shot at the championship is being undermined by unclear or lenient team management. Leclerc needs to learn from the dynamics that played out in Monaco and Las Vegas, where he was often the one forced to play the respectful team-first role. In those instances, his compliance with the team's wishes didn't always lead to the results he wanted. With Hamilton coming in, Leclerc will be dealing with a completely different mindset, one that prioritizes individual success over team unity. Ferrari, too, will need to adapt, as Hamilton will not tolerate being treated with anything less than the full respect and autonomy he's accustomed to at Mercedes. If Ferrari doesn't address these issues of communication, authority, and driver dynamics, the team could find itself in a difficult position, with both its drivers pushing hard for the same championship, while the leadership falters under the pressure. So what do you think about the upcoming season with Lewis Hamilton joining Ferrari? Will the team be able to cope with the new dynamic between him and Leclerc, or will it lead to new internal conflicts? Who do you think will be the main contender for the title in 2025? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on the latest news from the world of Formula One. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.